How much do you think we know, and how much do you think we don't know about what's out there?
That's a great question, and I can actually quantify that answer. So there are these things, there's dark matter you might have heard about. So dark matter is 85%, it's responsible for 85% of the gravity in the universe, and we have no idea what it is, but we can measure it. There's dark energy responsible for the accelerated expansion of the universe. We can measure that, but we don't know what's causing it. And then you add up all of these sort of what these forces are doing in the universe, it's 96% of what's driving the universe.
It began as nothing more than a whisper, an image hidden where no human eye was ever meant to look. Buried in the raw, unfiltered streams of the James Webb Space Telescope, an anomaly pulsed like a secret heartbeat. At first, only a few astronomers caught it, a glitch they thought, a flicker in the spectrographic data. But this was no error. The pattern was too precise, too rhythmic, too deliberate. Not a dust flare, not a collapsing star, and certainly not a comet. It was something else, something cold, something calculated, something terrifying. The object was already infamous, 3IATLAS, the interstellar wanderer that laughed at the laws of physics. But the new leak, captured during a classified Webb observation, has shattered every theory we thought we understood. If the data holds true, then 3IATLAS is not simply a strange traveler from another star. No, it may be watching us, and for the first time, the truth is slipping through the cracks. When it was first sighted, astronomers placed it in a familiar category, another interstellar comet. After all, we had seen Oumuamua and Borisov before, enigmatic messengers from other suns, racing past our star before vanishing back into the cosmic dark. But 3IATLAS refused to be ordinary. Its velocity, its path, its every maneuver broke expectations. Stranger still, unlike any comet nearing the sun, it revealed no shimmering coma, no trail of dust, no whisper of water vapor. Instead of behaving like a comet, it betrayed the script entirely. 3IATLAS emitted only carbon dioxide, and in staggering amounts, while its spectrographic readings stayed eerily silent in every other wavelength. NASA aimed the powerful infrared spectrometer aboard the SPREX observatory at the object, fully expecting to detect the usual suspects: water vapor or carbon monoxide. These gases are the signature of almost every comet we've ever studied. But the result? Nothing. Just carbon dioxide, no water, no carbon monoxide, a chemical fingerprint never recorded in the entire history of space observation. What kind of object breathes out CO2 and nothing else? The unsettling answer? None we've ever known. Not even the strangest, most exotic comets in our solar system act this way. If it wasn't a comet and it wasn't an asteroid, then what was it? As public curiosity swelled, NASA's silence grew deafening. No statements, no clarifications. But behind locked doors, another eye had already turned toward the visitor, the James Webb Space Telescope. Its unmatched resolution and spectrographic reach were quietly redirected to study 3IATLAS. On August 6, 2025, something happened. No images were released, no press conference was held, only silence. Yet a leaked report from an internal NASA analyst hints at what Webb may have seen. An object with no natural coma, but instead enveloped in a perfectly symmetrical halo of carbon dioxide stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers into space. Stranger still, its infrared glow did not come from sunlight. It radiated from within, as though the object itself was alive with power. 3IATLAS wasn't just reflecting light, it was emitting it. According to the leaked spectrographic breakdown, the glow bore eerie similarities to engineered photonic systems, the kind used in advanced telecommunications and data transfer. These wavelengths weren't random flickers of starlight. They repeated, they pulsed, they carried structure, like a cosmic Morse code flashing across the void. But the revelations didn't stop there. The object was measured at an astonishing 46 kilometers across, nearly twice the size of Oumuamua or Borisov, and statistically impossible for a body of that scale to just wander in by chance. For a rock this massive to appear from interstellar space meant only two possibilities. Either our models of the universe are catastrophically flawed, or 3IATLAS was deliberately sent. And yet, the most chilling discovery wasn't its chemistry or even its size. It was its path. Unlike Oumuamua's chaotic slingshot, 3IATLAS threaded into our system with unnerving precision. Its approach aligned perfectly with the orbital plane of the planets, a trajectory with odds of just 1 in 500 to occur naturally. In other words, it flew in like a drone, following a flight plan. It skimmed past multiple planets, Earth included, before descending deeper into the system, as though surveying each stop. Avi Loeb, the controversial Harvard astrophysicist who once stunned the world with his Oumuamua theories, examined the data and gave it a name no one wanted to hear: technologically suggestive. Avi Loeb pointed out something few dared to say aloud. The approach angle of 3IATLAS wasn't just precise, it was optimized. Its path seemed deliberately chosen to pass within range of Earth's most powerful telescopes, almost as if it wanted to be seen, but only in fragments, never in full. And its origin? Traced back to the Sagittarius constellation, the very same patch of sky where the infamous WOW signal was detected in 1977. That mysterious burst remains, even today, one of the strongest candidates for an artificial transmission from deep space. So, what are the chances that the most enigmatic object ever recorded in our solar system hails from the same celestial neighborhood? Coincidence or design? As speculation deepened, a chilling theory began to spread, not born from science fiction, but from cold engineering logic. What if 3IATLAS wasn't a comet at all? What if it was something built? Imagine a colossal asteroid plucked from a distant star system, hollowed out and reforged with internal machinery, sensors, propulsion, even an artificial habitat. Encased in dense rock for radiation shielding, its surface engineered to sublimate carbon dioxide, a clever disguise that cloaked its true nature. From afar, it would mimic a comet. Up close, it would whisper secrets of impossible design. And here's the unsettling truth. This isn't fantasy. The very concept has been proposed by Earth's own scientists as a practical method for interstellar travel. Asteroid ships, an idea once confined to speculative journals, would harness natural rock as armor, shielding fragile systems and passengers from cosmic radiation. Such vessels could drift across interstellar gulfs for thousands of years, propelled by engines buried beneath kilometers of stone, dormant until needed. But with 3IATLAS, this no longer feels like theory. The SphereX imagery, coupled with the leaked Webb spectrographic data, suggests we might not be imagining such a craft. We may already be looking at one. And if it is artificial, the implications are staggering. Someone, or something, sent it. While the public Webb archives showcase exoplanets, galaxies, and the faint echoes of the cosmic background, NASA's internal encrypted logs tell a very different story. According to leaks from anonymous insiders, 3IATLAS's light curves revealed something no natural object should display. At first, they appeared to be random flickers, dismissed as thermal emissions or rotational quirks. But once the data was decomposed, a chilling truth emerged. The pulses followed prime number sequences, the very language SETI scientists have long argued would be a universal mathematical code for communication. These bursts weren't noise, they weren't coincidence. They repeated with machine-like precision, broadcasting across multiple infrared bands like an invisible beacon. Yet the most unnerving discovery wasn't the signal itself. It was the silence between them, a deliberate gap, a pause long enough to suggest intent. As if whatever intelligence hides inside or behind 3IATLAS wasn't just speaking, it was listening, waiting for someone, somewhere, to answer. At this point, 3IATLAS was no longer an object we observed. It was an object that seemed to be observing us. The moment became undeniable, and NASA's response was swift, a total lockdown. All observational data was sealed, observatories were instructed to halt public tracking, and the media narrative went silent overnight. But for those who had glimpsed the light signatures, there was no going back. Soon after the Webb leak, something unusual surfaced, an abrupt surge in satellite redirection requests across NASA and ESA networks. These weren't routine calibration maneuvers. They were high-priority reassignments coming directly from defense channels, including NORAD and the United States Space Force. The civilian science mission had suddenly become a military operation. Then came the move that sent shockwaves through the quiet corridors of the aerospace community. Within just 48 hours of the leak, the X-37B, a classified, unmanned military spaceplane, was launched without warning. No announcements, no public mission statement. Its payload remains unknown, but orbital reconstructions suggest a highly elliptical path, carefully aligned with the projected trajectory of 3IATLAS. Why deploy America's most secretive orbital platform in response to what the public still believed was a comet? What were they preparing to do? Merely watch or attempt an intercept? Behind closed doors, defense briefings whispered a new and chilling designation. 3IATLAS was no longer filed under asteroidal anomaly. It was now classified under a fresh category: Technological Unknowns of Extraterrestrial Origin, TUEOS. The internal memos were never meant for public eyes, yet once exposed, they confirmed the growing suspicion. 3IATLAS was no longer being treated as a scientific anomaly. It was a strategic concern, an object that might demand a response. But as defense agencies moved to classify it, scientists on the fringes proposed something even more disturbing. What if 3IATLAS wasn't merely a probe? What if it was alive? Not alive in the sense of cells and DNA, but as something new, a fusion of machine and organism, evolving across interstellar time, a biomechanical entity. This concept, whispered in fringe astrobiology for decades, was called biomechanical synthesis. Life that weaves itself with metal frameworks, skins that drink in radiation, and neural networks that resemble artificial intelligence. Such beings would not evolve through biology alone, but through intelligence itself, self-crafting, self-perfecting, designed to survive the vacuum of space. And if this is what 3IATLAS is, then it may not have been sent at all. It may have sent itself. An autonomous traveler capable of adapting its behavior to environments, of selecting targets, destinations, even planetary systems worth observing, systems like ours. The implications are terrifying. This is no rock, no probe, no ordinary vessel. It could be something that studies us, learns from us, and perhaps even assimilates what it encounters. And then came the final twist. In recent months, theorists noticed a troubling synchronization, patterns hidden in the emission pulses, trajectory corrections, orbital alignments of 3IATLAS. All signs point toward a chilling possibility. 3IATLAS's presence here is not random. It's on schedule. Independent astronomers have modeled its path, and in less than 9 months, the object is predicted to drift into proximity with the asteroid belt. At that moment, its trajectory is expected to shift in a way no natural body should, a maneuver requiring either an extraordinary gravitational slingshot or propulsion. Some now whisper that 3IATLAS is entering its final phase of observation, a countdown, a rendezvous, a transmission, or perhaps a transformation. Even the signals themselves are changing. Analysts claim the repeating pulses have shifted in structure, almost as if they're moving through phases. If true, we may now be in phase 3 of 5, each stage building toward a climax. And the final phase? Alarming projections place it in alignment between Mars and Earth. What happens then? No one knows. But NASA's silence, the military's rapid mobilization, and the vanishing Webb imagery all suggest one terrifying conclusion. They expect something imminent. And then came the strangest sign of all. Shortly after Webb began its extended observations, instruments across the deep space network faltered. At first, dismissed as solar interference, but then entire data streams collapsed. New Horizons, Voyager 2, legacy probes spread across the solar system. All went dark in eerie synchrony. Radio astronomers reported localized electromagnetic storms, each disturbance traced back to the same window. The exact times Webb was watching 3IATLAS. It was as if something, or someone, was responding to the telescope's stare. Engineers labeled it coincidence. Analysts called it a cascade failure. But those paying closer attention began whispering the darker question. Was 3IATLAS aware it was being watched? And if so, what did its electromagnetic suppression truly mean? Was this a defense mechanism, a cloaking response, or a warning? Because if the object could silence probes on the outer edge of the solar system, then it might also control what humanity is allowed to see, or not see. Normal celestial bodies obey the math. Clean ellipses, gravitational assists, spiraling decays. But 3IATLAS refused the script. Leaked tracking data revealed sharp, non-ballistic deviations. Sudden course corrections that no comet, no asteroid could perform. At Caltech, scientists ran model after model, feeding every gravitational possibility into simulations. Nothing fit. Nothing explained the precision. The only conclusion left was the one no one wanted to say aloud. These were maneuvers, executed with intent. And then came the breaking point. On July 4th, the object shifted again, an angular deviation so abrupt it left analysts stunned. Its new heading aligned perfectly with a specific star system, Luyten's star, a red dwarf long suspected to host at least one habitable exoplanet. Coincidence? Hardly. If 3IATLAS came from Luyten's system, if it knew where it was going, then its path wasn't improvised. It was planned, mapped decades, perhaps centuries in advance, which raises the most unsettling possibility of all. This may not be the first time it has passed through here. 3IATLAS has passed through our solar system before, and it will again. But this time, its signals revealed something no one was prepared to face. A fringe circle of biophysicists, working quietly on the leaked spectrographic data, uncovered patterns buried within the emissions. What they found was immediately discredited by the mainstream, then quietly suppressed. The frequency ratios embedded in the pulses mirrored fragments of DNA coding. Not just any DNA, but human-compatible structures. The same helix-turn-helix motifs used in gene regulation, acting like biological logic gates. Coincidence? Mathematical fluke? Or was the signal not simply to us, but about us? The implications shook even the boldest researchers. What if 3IATLAS knew about life on Earth because it had seen it before? Or worse, because it had helped ignite it? The idea was radioactive. Before any formal paper could surface, every lab connected to the findings was silenced with cease and desist orders under the banner of national security. The official explanation: foreign satellite spoofing. But no one inside those circles believed that. This wasn't terrestrial, it wasn't foreign, it was interstellar. And then came the final leak. In the encrypted web logs buried in the lightwave decompositions, analysts found a phrase repeating like an echo: countdown initialized. 283 Earth days remaining. But the most terrifying detail: this wasn't a NASA annotation. It wasn't written by human hands. The phrase was decoded directly from the waveform structure itself, embedded in the very IR pulses of 3IATLAS. The countdown wasn't ours, it came from them. Researchers scrambled to decode what the ticking clock might mark. Was it Earth's orbital alignment with 3IATLAS, the solar maximum, its closest pass to Mars? None of these matched the numbers, none fit, until someone laid the countdown against historical data. Two previous interstellar anomalies, Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, and now, 7 years later, 3IATLAS. The pattern was unmistakable. Every cycle brought a new visitor. Each one carried more complex emissions. Each one cut a little closer to Earth. The unsettling theory emerged. Atlas is not a lone traveler. It is phase 3 of an unfolding sequence. And the countdown isn't for something happening on Earth. It's for something arriving here. Yet perhaps the most disturbing detail didn't come from the signals, but from Webb's leaked infrared images. Not the object itself, but what followed it. At first, analysts dismissed it as debris, ice fragments, dust trails. But when the images were enhanced, the truth was darker. A shadow, perfectly linear, extending across the infrared field in a way no natural debris ever could. Stranger still, it ignored the rules of physics, untouched by solar glare, unaffected by angle, constant no matter the observer's position. This was not a shadow cast by sunlight. It appeared to be projected outward. The European Southern Observatory suggested gravitational lensing, but whistleblowers from the Webb team revealed the internal designation stamped onto the classified file: self-shading body. The phrase self-shading body had never appeared in scientific literature before, but one fact was undeniable. If 3IATLAS could cast its own shadow independent of starlight, then it was manipulating space itself in ways we don't yet comprehend. Weeks later, after Atlas slipped behind the sun and out of direct sight, Webb scientists assumed the story had gone dark. But deep in the background noise, buried within residual telemetry, astronomers uncovered something impossible: a recurring signal pulsing near the hydrogen line, the universal frequency of physics. It repeated with surgical precision, every 12 hours and 3 minutes, too exact to be natural, and eerily close to the rhythm of Earth's own magnetic field. Cross-referencing older archives, researchers stumbled upon a revelation that froze them in their tracks. This exact same signal, down to its pulse spacing, had been detected before. Voyager 1 had picked it up in 1996 during its passage through the heliopause. At the time, it was dismissed as meaningless static, but reanalyzed today, with the framework of Atlas in mind, the alignment is perfect. Which raises a far darker question. If the signal spans decades, was it always Atlas? And if so, it isn't just sending, it's listening, growing stronger, closing in. The final Webb leak only deepened the mystery. Inside the last encrypted dump, analysts recovered an infrared spectrogram of Atlas's core emissions. At first glance, the image was a storm of chaos. Scattered bursts, warped pixels, radiation spikes. But then a software engineer tried something unconventional. She mapped the data into polar coordinates and overlaid it against the star maps of the Gaia mission. The result was nothing short of chilling. The bursts did not scatter randomly, they aligned into a detailed star map. But it wasn't our local neighborhood. These were stars belonging to the Triangulum Galaxy, 2.73 million light-years away. Even more unsettling, the pattern arced back, closing the loop on Earth itself. 3IATLAS wasn't a lost shard wandering the dark. It was charting a course, mapping a trajectory across galaxies, a calculated arrival. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence, the official line remains unchanged. A comet, a fragment, nothing of concern. But behind the locked doors of NASA, ESA, and the Webb Consortium, a quiet panic spreads. Leaks from within SETI whisper of unrecorded conversations, discussions too dangerous to document. Not about alien ships, but alien thought. The theory is as radical as it is terrifying. 3IATLAS may not be a vessel at all, not debris, not even an object, but a thought, a form of non-biological cognition written into structure, trajectory, and silence. It doesn't need propulsion if it can bend gravity itself. It doesn't need words if it speaks through pulses, alignments, and timing. It doesn't need eyes if it perceives through entanglement, watching systems across both space and time. James Webb may not have revealed an alien machine. It may have stumbled into something far more disquieting, an alien mind, one that has been staring back at us all along. So the question remains, haunting and unavoidable, what exactly did the James Webb Telescope see? Not a comet, not debris, not some random vagabond from deep space. What James Webb saw was something that should not exist. Something that should not move with precision, should not emit signals, and should not be staring back. Yet there it is. Because if 3IATLAS is more than an object, if it is a signal, a mind, a cosmic intelligence spiraling closer with intent, then Webb didn't just capture an image. It provoked a response. The telescope became part of the very pattern it was studying. The watcher became the watched. And in the deepest silence of space, something answered. A countdown has begun. A map has been drawn. The signal grows stronger by the day. NASA isn't panicking because they're confused. They're panicking because, at last, they understand. The question now isn't what 3IATLAS is. It's why now? Why Earth? And what happens when the countdown finally strikes zero? If the data is true, then this object isn't just passing by. It's coming home. So, what do you think? Is 3IATLAS a comet, a machine, or something far beyond comprehension? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.